Hi there guys, happy Monday and a good start to the week. Welcome to today's start of a new series where we look at mental health book recommendations. So you're going to find in a playlist some non-fiction and fiction recommendations. Often what I see with people when they're trying to learn about themselves and get better and get some better tools to elevate their own consciousness and deal with difficult problems is they tend to read a lot of non-fiction, which at times can make you get a little bit of reading fatigue where you start to actually really feel like you're back at school. And so it's so important to mix it up also with fiction books. A lot of people think you can't learn from fiction, but that is absolutely not true. Fiction allows us to project our inner angst onto external characters in a way that's not so threatening and deal with real life and sociological concerns like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, all the classics. But even now, our modern day contemporary authors offer us an opportunity to deal with these socio-cultural issues and inner problems that we have around morality, responsibility, regret, guilt, all of those things. And it's important to look at that. So if you think about when you watch a film with your friends or family and you have a very strong reaction to a character, negative or positive, that is an indication that somewhere in your inner angst, you're being triggered by something, a core belief, a theme of some sort in that character that is making you feel something. And it's sometimes easier to talk about what it is that makes you feel so many difficult things onto external people, strangers in some sense, because it is a part of who we are, a human element. All right, another aspect of reading that is so great into adding into your habits is reading can be very present focused, especially with fiction. So if you carve out 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour a day, it's a way for the mind to be able to rest from overthinking about the future, ruminating about the past, and just lose yourself for that time period. Studies show us that the heart rate and blood pressure tends to drop when we read, almost in a premeditative and sometimes meditative state. So it's always good to integrate this into your routine. A lot of people get really overwhelmed when they have large books to get through, as in long chapters. And it's important just to chunk it down bite-sized at a time and just set aside half an hour, an hour a day, however long for you feel it enriches your life. So without further ado, let's go into today's book. Today's fiction book is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, an exceptional book that I've been waiting a long time to really speak about further, as it's been in the kind of elevated consciousness, speaking on BookTube and BookTok, around so many people speaking about Matt Haig's latest contribution. So he has come out and said he's dealt with lifelong depression, and you can see in his perspective taking in this book, which I'm going to try and unpack as much as possible, spoiler free, so that none of you will have anything ruined in this book if you are wanting to read it. So in this book we delve into a fictional character called Nora who has very bad depression, clinical depression it seems like, where she is definitely in suicidal ideation, thinking about and attempting suicide. So that is a trigger warning for anybody who's currently dealing with that. And what this story presents is an opportunity where she enters a midnight library, where a librarian she knew from her childhood acts as this kind of catalyst into enabling Nora to relive lives that she could have had, almost a parallel universe, a universe where she can right the wrongs or regrets or guilt that she may have had of things, wrong turns that she could have gone into, and seen where they led her to. So without spoiling the book, it's, for example, if you were a teenager and you always wanted to be maybe a ballerina and you didn't pursue that and you did something else, it's going back to that book, reopening it and trying to live that life as if you were going to pursue a life being a ballerina. So this book explores all of that, and it starts to look at ways that she could have not gone into the path that she currently landed to, and reliving those platitudes, versions of herself, where she could have seen, where does this take me to? What is so fantastic about this book is that in looking at depression, it looks at rumination, which is very characteristic of either situational or clinical depression, where we tend to overthink. We think about the past, we think about regret and guilt and what I could have done. If I had done this, could I have hurt this person that way? Could I have avoided that? And so that's what keeps people in that spiral of depression, is they don't tend to live in the present. They tend to live a lot in the past, a lot in regret. And what it does is it robs you of the present moment and building on a future, because you're being so incredibly hard on yourself and trying to see what you could have done. There's a lot of existential and philosophical themes in this book, which questions, why are we here? What is the purpose of my life? Do I have an impact on others? And do I feel like I'm living a life of meaning and purpose? Which are such incredible things that we, at various points, have to deal with, either when life forces it on us, or when we sit and ponder it, when we're quiet with ourselves, or when we hear of bad news in ourselves or others, where we have to challenge in ourselves all of those aspects of, what is the purpose of what I'm doing here today? Do I derive any type of meaning in what I'm doing in my work, in terms of my relationships with others? Do I feel I speak up enough, and am I authentic? Nora also has some beautiful themes around asking herself how responsible she is in affecting other people, which is very common also in depression. So in depression, one often feels very responsible for other people's lives, their choices, where their lives take them to in terms of other people in the community. And it is important to question our role in our relationships with other people, and to be able to look at what's their role. How can they also take responsibility for their own lives and their relationships with us? So there's so many life lessons that come from this book, without going to any spoilage for you. And it's really, really wonderful to be able to have a platform for people to start to speak up and see what are the lessons that they learned within the book, or any quotations that they loved in terms of thinking about their own lives, the purpose of life, and any existential questions. So I would like to know from all of you what you took from this book. Were there any lessons you took, any quotations, anything like that that you felt others could learn from? Is there something in them or in this book that you found would be of benefit to someone else? Did it make you think? And was there any particular story, so the book that she chose, any life that she relived that you particularly liked? When we were discussing this book in a book club I was part of last year, we all discussed which life we liked the most out of her life. And also towards the end of the book, what is so interesting for me, what I took from it, is that she took more personal agency from the whole Midnight Library. And that is something that is a turning point for people with depression, where they start to see that they're not so disempowered, that they have more personal agency and to live more in the present. So I hope that if any of you do read this book, that if you do learn anything from it, share it with other people, tell other people about it if it's something that does resonate with you. Stay tuned now for some quotations from the book, and if you do pick it up and you enjoy it, please share and comment below. All the best.